In my village, my name was famous, but not for good reasons. If you ask the young boys, they would say, "That guy is sharp." If you ask the girls, they would giggle. But if you ask the parents, they would lock their doors. My name was Tunde, and I had a reputation that followed me everywhere like a shadow. I was confident, smooth with words, always neat, always smelling nice, and I believe no girl could resist me. Too much confidence, actually. In fact, there was almost no girl in that village I had not dated, chased, or at least tried my luck with, except one. Her name was Chioma. Chioma was different from every girl I had ever met. She didn't wear heavy makeup. She didn't laugh loudly. She didn't follow boys around. She didn't gossip. She was always quiet, always holding her Bible, always greeting elders politely. When she passed by, you felt peace like the air changed. And that was the problem. She never noticed me. Other girls would wave at me. Some would blush. Some would even send me secret messages through their friends. But Chioma, nothing. It was like I didn't exist. For the first time in my life, my pride was hurt. I told myself that this girl must notice me, no matter what it would take. One evening, I followed her from a distance, not like a criminal, just careful observation. She walked past the noisy market, crossed the small bridge near the stream, and then entered the tiny church at the edge of the village. A church nobody my age attended. I smiled to myself. That was where I would finally get her attention. The next Sunday, I prepared like an actor going for an award show. Long sleeve shirts, neatly ironed trousers, shiny shoes, and the biggest Bible I could borrow from my uncle. Even my friends were shocked. "Are you sure you are not going for baptism?" One of them joked. I ignored them. I wasn't going for salvation. I was going for Chioma. Inside the church, the atmosphere was calm. The choir sang softly. People prayed seriously, and nobody was checking their phones. I sat 2 seats behind Chioma. She didn't even turn back once. Not once. During prayer, I closed one eye and opened the other just to look at her. She was deeply focused, like nothing else in this world existed. For the first time in years, I felt small. Service ended peacefully. I stepped outside, adjusting my shirt and pretending to be spiritual. Then I saw him. Her father, tall, broad shoulders, dark face, eyes that looked like they had never laughed before. My heart dropped instantly. Before I could pretend I didn't see him, he walked straight to me. "This boy," he said slowly. "Have I not warned you to stay away from my daughter?" My throat dried. I turned left. My friends were gone. I turned right. Nobody. They had disappeared like smoke. Traitors. "Sir, please sir," I stammered. "I only came for service." He laughed. A deep, dangerous laugh. "So only this church is in the village? Or you think I won't recognize you because you dress like a clown?" People began to stare. Old women stopped walking. Children paused their games. 2 men even leaned on the wall to watch. Public disgrace had started. Inside me, anger was boiling. But outside, I looked like a humble saint. "Sir, I came because of Christ," I said softly, "not because of any girl." He shook his head slowly. "I know your type." My brain started running out of lies. Then I remembered the last time we met. He had pointed a real gun at me. That memory saved me. "You changed me, sir," I said quickly. "That day you pointed that gun at me, I realized if I had died, I would go to hell." That is why I am here today." He paused. His face softened just a little. Then he leaned closer and whispered into my ears, "Be careful how you walk in this village. My daughter is precious to me. I don't want to see you near her until I am sure you have changed." I nodded like a primary school student. "Yes, sir." "Give thanks to God," he added. "He saved you from beating today." He walked away, leaving me standing there like a statue. That day, I felt like the entire village had watched a comedy show, and I was the clown. That evening, I swore to myself that I was done with Chioma forever. But that night, sleep refused to come. I turned left, turned right, sat up, lay down again. My pride was broken. How did one girl embarrass me like this? I hissed loudly in the darkness. She had invited me earlier to come and study the word of God behind her house that evening. But after the disgrace I received, even if angels came down, I was not going anywhere near that place. The next morning, my eyes were red from lack of sleep. I needed distraction. I needed to feel like a man again. So I called Daniela, one of my girlfriends. "Come over," I told her. "I am bored." She agreed immediately. Less than 15 minutes later, I heard a knock on my door. I smiled. So fast? Was she already waiting for my call? I quickly tied my towel properly and rushed to open the door. The smile on my face vanished the moment I pulled the door open. Standing there, holding a huge Bible close to her chest, was Chioma. My brain stopped working. Of all the people in this world, why her? Why now? "Good afternoon," she said calmly. I was still in a towel. "Good afternoon," I replied, trying to cover my chest without making it obvious. "I came to return this," she said, raising the Bible slightly. "You dropped it in church." I blinked. So the Bible wasn't even mine. I had borrowed it just to look spiritual, and now she was returning it like it was truly mine. Embarrassment level maximum. I collected it slowly. She glanced briefly into my room, then back at me. "I hope I didn't come at a bad time," she said. My heart started racing. If Daniela arrived at this exact moment, my life would end publicly. "No, not at all," I replied quickly. She smiled gently. For the first time ever, Chioma smiled directly at me. And strangely, my heart beat faster than it ever did with any other girl. It wasn't the usual excitement. It was different. Calm but powerful. "I'm glad you came to church," she said softly. She turned to leave, then stopped and looked back. "And please, don't give up easily. God can change anyone." She walked away slowly, leaving me standing there confused. Her words echoed in my head. What did she mean by that? Just then, another knock sounded on the door. I opened it. Daniela stood there, hands on her waist. She had clearly seen Chioma walking away. Her eyes narrowed slowly. "Who is that girl?" she asked. And at that moment, I knew my peace life had officially come to an end. Daniela stood at my door, hands on her waist, eyes sharp like a knife. "Who is that girl?" she asked again. Slowly this time. The question hung in the air like a thunder before rain. My brain was still replaying Chioma's smile, her calm voice, the way she held that Bible like it was part of her body. For a few seconds, I forgot Daniela was even there. She is just a church member," I finally said. Daniela folded her arms. "Church member that came to your house with Bible and you are in a towel." I forced a smile. "Relax now." She only returned something I dropped. Her eyes searched my face like she was reading my thoughts. Then she eased and walked in. She sat on my bed and began scrolling through her phone. But the tension in the room was thick. Normally, I would joke, tease, and lighten the mood. But my mind was far away. I kept hearing Chioma's voice. God can change anyone. That sentence disturbed me more than Daniela's jealousy. When Daniela finally left that evening, I didn't feel excitement or relief. I felt empty. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of my fan turning slowly. For the first time in years, silence felt loud. My life suddenly looked messy in my own eyes. Too many girls, too many lies, too many games. I turned to the side and saw the Bible Chioma returned. I picked it up absent-mindedly and flicked it open. I wasn't even planning to read it, but my eyes landed on a line about change, forgiveness, and new beginning. I quickly shut it. I begged, I muttered, not today. But the seed had been planted. The next few days were strange. I tried to go back to my normal life, but it felt like wearing clothes that no longer fit in. My friend called me to hang out. I gave excuses. Daniela sent messages. I replied late. Other girls waved at me in the market. I waved back, but my mind was elsewhere. And somehow, everywhere I turned, I kept seeing Chioma. At the wall fetching water, at the roadside greeting an old woman, and at the provision shop buying bread. She never lingered, never tried to talk, just normal greetings and she would move on. Yet each time I saw her, my chest felt tight. Not fear, not lust, something deeper, something I wasn't used to. One evening, everything changed. I was returning from a football match with my friends when we heard screaming near the stream. At first, we ignored it. In the village, people shouted for many reasons. Goats missing, children fighting, petty arguments, but this scream was different. It was sharp, desperate. We ran towards the noise. A crowd had gathered near the deep side of the stream. Women were crying, men were arguing, children were standing on stones trying to see what was happening. Then I saw her, Chioma. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen with tears. She was shaking. Two women were holding her shoulders. What happened? I asked a man beside me. Her younger brother slipped into the water, he said. They can't find him. My stomach dropped. That part of the stream was dangerous. Even strong swimmers avoided it. People had drowned there before. Chioma suddenly screamed her brother's name again, and something inside me moved without permission. Before my brain could calculate the risk, my legs were already moving. I threw off my slippers and shirt. Are you mad? One of my friends shouted, but I had already jumped. The water swallowed me instantly. Cold, heavy, the current pushed against my body. I opened my eyes underwater, but saw nothing except green darkness. My lungs started burning. I stretched my hands blindly, touching weeds, stones, nothing useful. I surfaced for air. The crowd's noise sounded far away. Chioma's crying cut through everything. I dived again, deeper this time. My chest felt like it would explode. Just when fear started creeping in, my hand touched fabric. I grabbed it, a small arm. I held tightly and kicked upward with all my strength. The water fought me, but I refused to let go. When my head finally broke the surface, villagers rushed forward, pulling us out. The boy coughed violently. Water spilled from his mouth. Then he cried, alive. The entire crowd released a breath at once. Some people shouted, thank God. Others clapped. I sat on the ground, shaking from cold and adrenaline. Chioma ran towards us and fell to her knees beside her brother, crying and laughing at the same time. Then she looked at me. Her eyes were filled with gratitude, disbelief, and something else. Respect. She whispered, thank you. but the way she said it felt louder than the entire crowd. Her father approached slowly, the man who once embarrassed me in front of half the village, the man who pointed a gun at me. He stretched out his hand. He hesitated, then shook it. "You risked your life for my son," he said quietly. "I will not forget this." That night, the village talked about nothingness. By morning, my name had changed. I was no longer just that boy. People greeted me warmly. Old women blessed me. Even men who disliked me before nodded with approval. But the biggest change wasn't outside, it was inside me. For the first time, I felt proud of myself for the right reason. Days turned into weeks. I started attending the small church again. But this time, I sat quietly at the back. No acting, no pretending, just listening. Sometimes, Chioma would glance back briefly and smile. A simple smile, but it carried warmth. I slowly reduced my late night movement. I stopped juggling girls. Some of them complained. Some insulted me. Some laughed and said it wouldn't last. But it did. One afternoon, I was helping my uncle fix a motorcycle when Chioma walked past and stopped. "You've changed," she said softly. "I'm trying," I replied. "That's enough," she smiled. Our conversation grew from greeting to short talks, then longer walks after church. There was no rush, no pressure, no hidden motives. I wasn't trying to impress her anymore. I was just being myself, something I had not done in years. Months later, her father called me aside after service. My heart pounded, expecting another warning. Instead, he spoke calmly. "I have been watching you," he said. "You are not the same boy." "I'm still learning, sir," I answered. He nodded once. "Keep learning." That simple approval felt heavier than any praise I had ever received. Time passed. The village seasons changed. Harvests came and went. Festivals came and went. And through it all, Chioma and I grew closer naturally. People began to notice. Instead of gossip, there were smiles. Instead of suspicion, there was support. One evening under the same mango tree, where she once invited me to study the word, I told her the truth. "You are the only girl I couldn't get," I said with a small laugh. "But you became the only girl I didn't want to lose." She laughed softly. "Maybe you were the one God was trying to get all along." Years later, that same mango tree was decorated with ribbons and flowers. Chairs were arranged. Villagers gathered happily. I stood in a suit, nervous but smiling. Chioma walked toward me in a simple white dress, glowing like morning sunlight. When we said our vows, the applause echoed through the field. Her father hugged me firmly, pride clearly in his eyes. My old friends cheered the loudest. Even Daniela, who had long moved on, sent congratulations through a mutual friend. As we walked hand in hand, I realized something powerful. I once chased Chioma because my pride was wounded, but I ended up loving her because she healed something inside me. The girl I thought was my hardest target became my greatest blessing, and the village boy who wanted every girl found happiness with the one girl he never planned to fall for. Hey guys, did this story touch you? If it did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part. You never know which story might save a life. Bye.